Okay, as usual, we start with Thomas. 47, 48.
Knowledge of reflection. Being thus desirous of deliverance from all the manifold formations in any kind of becoming, generation, destiny, station, or abode, in order to be delivered from the whole field of formations, he again discerns those same formations, attributing to them the three characteristics by knowledge of the contemplation of reflection. He sees all formations as impermanent for the following reasons. Because they are non-continuous, temporary, limited by rise and fall, disintegrating, fickle, perishable, unenduring, subject to change, coreless, due to be annihilated, formed, subject to death, and so on. He sees them as painful for the following reasons. Because they are continuously oppressed, hard to bear, the basis of pain, a disease, a tumor, a dart, a calamity, an affliction, a plague, a disaster, a terror, a menace, no protection, no shelter, no refuge, a danger, the root of calamity, murderous, subject to cankers, Mara's bait, subject to birth, subject to aging, subject to illness, subject to sorrow, subject to lamentation, subject to despair, subject to defilement, and so on. He sees all the formation as foul, ugly, the ancillary characteristic to that of pain, for the following reasons. Because they are objectionable, stinking, disgusting, repulsive, unaffected by disguise, hideous, loathsome, and so on. He sees all formation as not self for the following reasons. Because they are alien, empty, vain, void, ownerless, with no overlord, with none to wield power over them, and so on.
Okay, thank you. So this is the way we see by three characteristics. There is it's like you see all the formation means all the nama rupa as anicca, dukkha, anatta, three characteristics as mentioned below, right? Impermanent, suffering, or painful, or non-self. Now, painful, he used another one. That is a asubha. So, in fact, if you are talking about three characteristics, if you want to include this one, so if you are saying about three, we can see as anicca, dukkha, anatta. But if you want to take it as four, it will be same, and then you plus the another one, asubha. Okay? Because sometimes in the Satipatthana Sutta, they mention all the formation we can put as four. So there's impermanent, painful, ugly, and non-self. And remember last time we are talking about 40 ways of contemplation. Remember I say in Pali you call it 40 doors like anicca, dukkha, anatta. I think I mentioned to you all, there are 40 methods of contemplation. So this is called 40 doors in Burmese. Because here you can see everything is explained in many ways. So if up together, it will be about 40 or more than that. So I hope you all remember there are 40 way we see. And all these way, even though you are 40, you contemplate it and you can put together them as anicca, dukkha, anatta, which mentioned in the Visuddhimagga. All right. So now this is a very good explanation, because like normally people say, you want to say it's non-self. How do you know it's non-self? Right, that's the question now. How do you know things are non-self? For example, you can talk about it's alien, it's empty. Empty is sunyata. Normally, I think you heard in Mahayana Sutta that everything they talk about, everything is empty. What is empty? Empty of self, all right? Or vain or void also. Ownerless, okay? No overlord. This means that there's no somebody in charge, kind of like supreme God who are controlling everything. And sometimes we call it no power, means you don't have the absolute control on the formation. So this is a very good explanation for non-self. Okay, so if you are writing assignment, you don't know what to write, you can just look at all these points, and then all this, even though it is it's a lot, but you can pick up whatever you understand. Maybe painful. What's painful? It's a basic of pain, like our body. Because you have the body, you have teeth, you have teeth pain. You have a headache, you got a head, you head pain. You got a kidney, you got kidney pain, right? You got the blood, you got blood problem, high cholesterol, low cholesterol, and so on, right? And everything subject to aging, sickness, and death, or so on, right? Okay, so all these are very good explanation. It's simple because it explained in 40 ways, right? Aniccato, dukkhato, anattato, right? Okay, now this is a next is a simile. There's a lot of simile in Visuddhimagga, but this simile is very good because it really understand the Dhamma in a much more lay person way. Or when you see this, you can just literally think about how the man is catch the fish, right? Okay. So I believe it here because sometimes I think it's good to just read some simile because if not, all the Dhamma is too dry already. Sister Yo, you can read this one.
Good evening, Saji. But why does he discern them in this way? In order to contrive the means to deliverance. Here is a simile. A man thought to catch a fish. It seems. So he took a fishing net and cast it in the water. He put his hand into the mouth of the net under the water and seized a snake by the neck. He was glad, thinking, I have caught a fish. In the belief that he had caught a big fish, he lifted it up to see. When he saw 3 marks, he perceived that it was a snake and he was terrified. He saw danger, felt dispassion, revulsion for what he had seized, and desired to be delivered from it. Contriving a means to deliverance, he unwrapped the coils from his hand, starting from the tip of its tail. Then he raised his arm, and when he had weakened the snake by swinging it 2 or 3 times round his head, he flung it away, crying, Go, foul snake! And then, quickly scrambling up onto dry land, he stood looking back. Whence he had come, thinking, Goodness, I've been delivered from the jaws of a huge snake.
Hey, you can continue? Yes, okay.
The time when the meditator was glad at the outset to have acquired a person is like the time when the man was glad to have seized the snake by the neck. These meditators, seeing the 3 characteristics in formations after effecting resolution of the compact into elements, is like the man's seeing the 3 marks on pulling the snake's head out of the mouth of the neck. The meditator's knowledge of appearance as terror is like the time when the man was frightened. Knowledge of contemplation of danger is like the man's thereupon seeing the danger. Knowledge of contemplation of dispassion is like the man's dispassion, revulsion for what he had seized. Knowledge of desire for deliverance is like the man's deliverance from the snake. The attribution of the 3 characteristics to formations by knowledge of contemplation of reflection is like the man's contriving a means to deliverance. For just as the man weakened the snake by swinging it, keeping it away and rendering it incapable of biting, and was thus quite delivered, so too this meditator weakens formations by swinging them with the attribution of the 3 characteristics, rendering them incapable of appearing again in the modes of permanence, pleasure, beauty, and self, and is thus quite delivered. That is why it was said above that he discerns them in this way in order to contrive the means to deliverance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
All right, so
Saji.
thank you very much. So this is just a simile. So first is a great. He thought that he catch a fish, but he actually catch a snake. So what should he do? After that, he should see the anicca dukkha anatta. Means that by making his mind and body into elements. Okay, don't cling to the mind and body. All right. Then after that, he see the snake, he get very frightened, terror. Then he knows the danger. Remember, we have few knowledge. One is terror, one is danger. Okay. Then he no more attached to that snake. Right. So this passion. Then he have the desire, want to escape from the snake. Then after that, he need to see the three characteristics again. It's just reflection again. So let's say if somebody already reached the high upper knowledge, and if you want to go forward, he need to see anicca dukkha again and again. All right, so that's why it say by weaken the formations by the seeing the anicca dukkha anatta, right? Okay, so that's the meaning. So we always go back to the basic. What's the basic? So remember, we have different types of knowledge. Go for the first. Okay. Now, so first he must go for the rising falling. That's on the first page of this document, number 7. He must see the arising passing away, and first free from all the imperfection like clinging to the light, to the tranquility and so on. Now he will see dissolution, means everything arise and pass away. He only might see it pass away. Then he see terror. He see the formation as danger, terror, danger. And then he no more interested in them called dispassion. Then he want to deliver. How do he deliver from it? He must reflect again the anicca dukkha anatta. So we are talking about this knowledge here. Try to reflect anicca dukkha again. So for him to go for the next one, that is equanimity towards all the formations. Sankhara upekkha jnana. So this is the important one. If somebody be able to reach here, then the next one will be enlightenment already. Very near to enlightenment already. So this means that the story about the snake is just start from this one, the snake. Okay. So the story about the snake, just now somebody who catch a fish, he thought it's a fish, but actually it's a snake. It's talking about these 3, 4, 5, 6. See the snake as danger. It's not to say your sankara is a snake, but it just say the simile of the fisherman. He's a feeling about he want to escape from he thought it's a good thing, but actually it's a bad thing. Like our formations, Namarupa, we thought it's a good thing, but actually it's not a good thing because it's subject to fading away. Okay, now this part is much more 51, 52 onward. It's actually a lot of theory. When I look at it, I have the mind of don't want to put it, but I think since we are going to be at the end of the course already, so myself put it for you all to read, for me to read also. Okay, 51. Sister Chong Pat Lan? Sister Chong Pat Lan, are you okay? Yes.
Yeah, I'm here. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
51. Okay. At this point, knowledge or reflection has arisen in him, with reference to which it is said, when he brings to mind as impermanent, there arises in him knowledge after reflecting on what? When he brings to mind as painful, as not self, there arises in him knowledge after reflecting on what? When he brings to mind as impermanent, there arises in him knowledge after reflecting on the sign. When he brings to mind as painful, there arises in him knowledge after reflecting on occurrence. When he brings to mind as not self, there arises in him knowledge after reflecting on the sign and occurrence.
You can continue. Yes.
As here, after reflecting on the sign, means having known the sign of formations by means of the characteristics of impermanence as unlasting and temporary. Of course, it is not that, first having known, subsequently knowledge arises, but it is expressed in this way according to common usage, as in the passage beginning. Due to having depended upon, due to mind and mental object, mind consciousness arises, and so on. Or alternatively, it can be understood as expressed thus, according to the method of identity by identifying the preceding with the subsequent. The meaning of the remaining two expressions, that is occurrence and the sign and occurrence, should be understood in the same way. Knowledge or contemplation of reflection is ended.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sayaji.
Do you understand what you read?
No, don't know what he's talking about.
Okay. Anyway, here it tries to say like reflection means you try again to, of course, before you go to knowledge or reflection, we already contemplate anicca, dukkha, anatta. But for to knowledge or reflection to be more stronger, you still have to come back to the same thing, anicca, dukkha, anatta. But here it's talking about there are two things. One is called sign, another one called occurrence. But this one is not explained here. I think on the lesson, on the document, next document, it explains what is sign and occurrence. Again, it quote from this book again, Visuddhimagga. Now, here it only mentioned the sign. The sign means sign of formation, okay? So this is talking about the sign here. How do you know the formation? By seeing the impermanence. By seeing impermanence, you understand the sign of formation. That's the meaning here. So try to see all the formation as impermanence means unlasting and temporary. Then it didn't explain much more. But on the next document, you will explain what is occurrence and so on. So I think we just leave it like that. Okay, now, next one. Remember just now one sign of anatta is, one sign of a non-self is void. Okay, now he try to explain what is void here. All right. This is actually from the Nidesa, right? NI is a Nidesa. Okay. Nidesa is like Patisambhida. It's also a book considered as quite old. And also not a lot of people want to read this book. It seems like Patisambhida, very dry. Okay, that's why you seldom heard about this book. It's also very, very not easy to read. You also can find in the Kutaka Nikaya. Right. So if you look at the Pali Tipitaka, where is this book? It's not the Vinaya is Vinaya Sutta, not the Dikkan Nikaya. Under Kutaka Nikaya, you'll find there are two books here. One is called Mahanidesa, another Chula Nidesa. So Patisambhidamagga is this one. Normally the book that you always will see is Dhammapada. Okay, Dhammapada is the one you always see. Or Udana is the verses of the Buddha, very enlightened. And sometimes the story of ghosts is called Petawatu. Story of Thera or Theri, Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni is under Theragata, Therigata. Right? And then and Milana Panya is the King Milanda. Okay, so you can see this is the Nidesa here. Okay, so now there are 6 ways we can see the void and 8 ways we can see the void. Let's see. Subha, can you read 55 and 56?
He discerns voidness again in 6 modes. How? I is void of self, or of the property of a self, or of permanence, or of lastingness, or of eternalness, or of non-subjectness to change, mind, visible data, mental data, I consciousness, mind contact, nidesa. And this should be continued as far as aging and death. Having discerned voidness in the 6 modes in this way, he discerned it again in 8 modes, that is to say, materiality has no core, is coreless, without core, and as far as concerned, any core of permanence, core of lastingness, core of pleasure, or core of self, or as far as concerns what is permanent, or what is lasting, or what is eternal, or what is not subject to change, feeling, perception, formation, consciousness, I, and so on. Aging and death has no core, is coreless, without a core. As far as concerned, any core of permanence, or core of lastingness, or core of pleasure, or core of self, or as far as concerned, what is permanent, or what is lasting, or what is eternal, or what is not subject to change.
Okay, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Sir.
So this is talking about how we see the anatta in terms of void, right? Now, remember we said the object. So all these are talking about the object, right? So, if according to Patisamhita, remember I told you all there are 200 plus objects, all the way from the eye, the 6 sense bases, and then the 6 sense consciousness, means the 18 elements, the internal external base with the conscious, so 18 elements, all the way towards even the factors independent origination. Okay, so there are 200 plus objects. So you can see in the 6th way here, according to the text here. All right, void of self, property of self. Void of self means there is no I, no self. Property of self means it does not belong to a self. It is not lasting. It's not permanence. Okay. All right. Subject to change. Yeah, of course. Non-subjectness to change is strange to write in this way. Non-subjectness, maybe we can talk about subject means, sometimes subject means refer to somebody here. All right. So if non-subjectness means not refer to somebody. So another 8 ways also is more here. You can see this is the 8 ways here. Is also same. Is more on also all the way towards anything is nothing to do with self. It's not lasting, not eternal, not what is not subject to change. Okay. Feeling, all the ways, all these are objects here. So these 8 ways. After that, there are 10 ways also. Okay, and 12 ways. Okay. Okay, I think we better read it since we are going to end out this now. Brother King, yes.
Okay. Having discerned voidness in 8 modes in this way, he discerned it again in 10 modes. How? He sees materiality as empty, as vain, as non-self, as having no overlap, as incapable of being made into what one wants, as incapable of being had, as one wishes, as insusceptible to the exercise of mastery, as alien, as secluded from past and future. He sees feeling, etc., consciousness as empty, as secluded. Okay, nidesa. Having discerned voidness in 10 modes in this way, he discerned it again in 12 modes. That is to say, materiality is no living being, no soul, no human being, no man, no female, no male, no self, no property of a self, not I, not mine, not another's, not anyone's feeling, etc. Consciousness, not everyone, not anyone.
Okay, thank you. Right, so I think here is talking about materiality means the lupa. Lupa is not belong to, we don't take the lupa as a self of a soul or either a male or female. That's what I'm trying to say. Also not belong to property of mind. Mind means it's belong to property of self. That's the meaning here. Or here, not mine, not another means it's not the property of anybody. That's the meaning. And all these are the object. The materiality is the object, feeling is the object, consciousness is the object, and so on. Same also like this. All these are object. So that means that when we practice vipassana, we have to see as non-self in terms of voidness, and it's a very good explanation. I think this 10 modes is easy to understand. Like this, we cannot make as what we want. For example, you cannot wish your body is young forever, or you wish that you have good feeling forever, or wish that only your eye consciousness see only beautiful things. Okay, so that's the meaning of you cannot control as you want, as you wishes. Or this means that no mastery on it, as secluded from the past and future. There's some good point here, I think. So also the 12 here, 42 ways investigating. Right. Now, 12 ways here. So here is a lot. Okay. Oh, there are 42. This means that, remember last time I said 40. I think it includes some more here. It become 42 already. So there are a lot. So we just give it. Okay, now. Okay, now that's a good point. Sometimes in the sutta it say like this: we see the world as void, see the feeling, see the consciousness as having escaped. Okay, he see the world as void. So this world is talking about internal world, also can talking about external world. Okay, I think we finish here. So we already go through the discussion last week. So I just write down some good point from the last week. Now we need to go to the next document. It's still quite early. So let me go for next document. Unless you all got question here.